Now let us see why we use or where to refer the forging operation or forging process. Or we can compare the forging components with the other components which is made by a forging or a machining. Suppose you take an example of a spanner. Here you can see the one end of spanner shape where we used to hold a bolt and we used to rotate. So the spanner is made here with a casting process, another by a forging process, and this has a machining process. So by looking to this grain structure, if you see the grain structure of an casting, this dash line is nothing but the grain structure. This red will be a grain structure in forging, and this red dash lines will be a grain structure in machining. So if you look towards this three figure, then what do you think? Which spanner will be sustaining more strength or more load it will absorb? Can you guess it? So if you are thinking that the casting will sustain more load, then your answer is wrong. If you are thinking that a machining, the spanner which is made by a machining process, that is milling or any other cutting operation will be used, and if you are thinking that it is done by a machining process, then again what you are predicted is wrong. The spanner which is made by a forging process will sustain more strength because the grain structure in this case is equally distributed in a very well manner, and the same grain structure if you see in casting, it is distorted. They are not placed in one direction. Now if you see the grain size, now you can say that so machining is also a good option to make a spanner, but you can see that even those the grain structure in one direction, at this age we don't want it in one direction. We require to be flow of grain should be in this manner. It should be in curve manner, because when you use this kind of a spanner, so after 6 months or 3 months, you will find out that number of times you open the bolt or close the bolt. At that case, if you apply more force on this spanner, crack will be generated at this point, because these are the region where the initially crack will be generated, and it will be extended, and due to that there is a chances of breakage of your spanner. In this case, as the grains are distributed in well manner or in well shape, it will be very less chance to generate a crack for this type of an grain structure. It will support to reduce the force and the stress concentration, so there is a less chance to generate a crack. In this case also, the crack will form and it will extend further and it will break one side of your jaw of spanner. Same way, this is an crank where more forces are generated on this circumference, as it is a rotating part. This inner holes comes in contact with the shaft and it has to be rotated thousand of time within a minute or second, within a minute. So it goes under a number of forces or circumferential forces. So to sustain that kind of an forces, the grain structure you can see in this way. So this kind of an grain structure can achieve in forging process, and this is a dash, or this is an only one directional grain structure is there. So this another part is made in machining process, and again here you will find out that if you are making a crank with a machining process, then there will be a failure due to this kind of an grain structure nature. So for this reason we refer forging components. Now let us see the analysis of open die forging. So here two figures are there. One is this upper figure. You will find out that a straight cylindrical part is. So the upper figure is related to the ideal condition of forging. So what exactly the ideal condition is? So here there will be no friction between the surface of your upper die and your workpiece. Even there will be no friction between the lower die and your workpiece surface. So due to that, when you apply a external blow on your workpiece, so this was the initial diameter, this is an initial height. After applying load on it, the same shape will be there, only the height will be reduced and diameter will be increased. Again you can apply a third load on it or third blow on it, so again your height will be reduced and your diameter will be increased. So this will be your actual required size of the component. So this was the initial one, then this will be the final one, and this will be the intermediate one. So in this case you have used 3 blows to get your final shape of the component. This is the first, second and third. So as an engineer you should know that how many blows you require to get this final shape from the initial shape. So customer, what he will do, he will give a design to you, he will give raw material, or you can also have purchase your own raw material. So from that raw material you have to give this final shape. So it's your work to find out the number of forces and number of blows required to get this final shape. So in this case you will find out that in ideal condition, as there is no friction between the workpiece surface and die surface, the shape remains same in all 3 cases. And if you see the below figure, here you will find out that the same process will be carried out, but at the second blow or the third blow, what happens, a barrel shape of your component will be seen. Why? Because when force will be applied on your this red hot component, there will be a friction between your, now in this case you need to consider the friction. So in your workpiece surface and die surface, as there is a frictional force, now what frictional force will do, it will apply, the frictional force will try to apply towards the leftward side, that is towards the innerward side to the applied one. Now external applied force will try to move towards the rightward side, and the frictional force will try to act opposite to it. So due to that acting opposing to that applied force, a barrel like shape will be formed to both sides, that is towards the upper side as well as towards the lower side. Even the same case you will find out in third stage also. So if you are considering the friction, then a barrel shape will be formed on your component as a frictional force opposes the applied force. Now let us see the analysis in this, what we are interested in. Again in this case we are interested in to find out the force. So again, once you find the force, you can find out the power required to operate that ram. So here HI, HF and H will be the height, initial, intermediate height and final height. Again this will be initial diameter of your workpiece, intermediate diameter and final diameter. Sometimes even it may happen that you required only one blow to get the final shape of the component. So in that case this will be the initial diameter and there will be a final diameter. There will be no intermediate height and diameter of your component. So again find out the true strength. True strength will be equal to ln. So in this case it will be the initial height and the intermediate height. Then flow stress. So here flow stress is given as an Ke raised to n. So in forging, as I told you before also, so as we are applying a sudden load, we have to use flow stress as a k e raised to n. Then force required to compression. So what is the force? Force is the stress into area. So flow stress we have calculated from this. Then area will be what? The cross sectional of your workpiece. So if you are finding out for the second load, we are interested in last stage always. So use the cross sectional area of the final one. So here if it is a circular one, the area will be pi by 4 d square. If you are finding out for this one, then the area will, the load required for the last one, then the cross sectional area for will be, this is what, pi by 4 df square, that is an final diameter. Now frictional force, so this is the force when there is an idle condition, or there will be no friction will be taking place between your workpiece surface and your die surface. But as we know that in practical there will be always friction will be taking place between the workpiece and your die. So for that condition, what will be the force? Remember that for both the cases, forces will be, the value of forces will be getting different. So we are interested to find out the forces when there will be, when there is a friction between your workpiece and the upper or lower die friction. So in this case, frictional force will be what then? Is equal to flow stress into area into forging shape factor. This term is called as a forging shape factor. So it is given as an 1 plus 0.4 mu d upon h. So here this d will be the value of this intermediate diameter, and h will be the height of that intermediate component, that is an intermediate height will be considered, and mu is the coefficient of friction between these two surfaces. So remember this formula, 1 plus 0.4 mu d upon 4. So in next slide we will see numerical. So here you can see a solid material mode of stainless steel is 50 mm in diameter and 76 mm in height. It is reduced in height by 50%. So here height is 50 mm and diameter is, sorry, height is 76 mm and diameter is 50 mm, and it is reduced in height by 50%. So whatever the 76 is there, that value is reduced by 50% in second stage. The work material has a flow curve defined by K is equal to 350 megapascal, that is Newton per mm square, and N is equal to 0.17. So if mu is 0.1, calculate the forging force at the end of stroke. So while reading a problem, there itself you should know which values are given and what we have asked to find out. So write down the given data. Here D is 50 mm, initial height was 76, and the final H is what? It is 50% of the initial height, as it is reduced by 50%. So what is the 50% of 76? It will be a 38, or you can multiply 0.5 into HI. So instead of 50, if they say that it is reduced in height by 75%, then you have to take this as an 0.75 into HI. If they say that it is reduced by 80%, then you have to take this as an 0.8 multiplied by initial height. So according to that, the values will be changing. Then rest of things are given. So again calculate the true strain. So true strain will be equal to ln HI upon H. So answer will be 0.6931. Flow stress, so it will be, as it is a forging case, use formula will be K e raised to n 328.8541 megapascal. So if friction force is considered, then the force required. So generally if they are asking that it is an idle condition, then you have to use calculate the frictional force as an sigma F into A only. But if they are not asking any condition, then you have to, by default, you have to consider it as an friction will be taking place between your ram and the workpiece, and even they have given the mu value, so from that we can predict that friction will be there. So you take value of frictional force as an sigma F into area into shape factor. So here area will be taking as a final one, that is pi by 4 d square. SF, as we know the formula to find out the shape factor, put the all values in it and find out the value, that is 1.0326. So your frictional force will be 679.6675 into 10 raised to 6 Newton. Similar numerical will be given in assignment that you have to solve. Thank you.